And he said to me, "You're about to enter into one of the biggest shows in the world." Working on House of the Dragon was like working at the top of the tree in a big Hollywood movie, because the budget was about the same. That job changed my whole perspective in terms of filming a TV show.
Have you had any backlash from the fact that originally those characters were white in books, and then the whole cast, the Velaryons, are black?
You might as well chase after your dreams, because the time is going to pass anyway, regardless. Even if you're in your most important scene of your career, still respect the other people who have their own lives, man. It's not all about you. Matt, Emma Darcy, Rhys Ifans, Olivia Cook, Paddy Considine, they were all just incredible actors and incredible human beings. The description of the character was African, over 6 foot, big, muscular, bald head, dark skin. I said to my agent, "Are you serious? You have an argument with your partner, massive argument, then you both end up exhausted, crying, what have you. Now do that every single night for eight shows a week. Do that." What I love about theatre is the magic of keeping it alive every night.
Do you think actors are narcissists?
For the most part, we are, yeah.
Hi, I'm Andrei Rogozin, and this is Beyond Real Talk, a podcast where I invite real entertainment industry professionals and ask them real questions. What are they actually doing? How are they doing it? And why are they doing it? And my today's guest is a film, TV, and theater actor, producer, DJ, father. You might have seen him in Waking the Dead, Emmerdale, Waterloo Road, Outlander, Carnival Row, House of the Dragon, and on stage as Othello. Wil Johnson. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Let's jump straight in. Look, I was doing research and I checked your first credit on IMDb. In Casualty, it was 1987, and I think your very first paid job was in 1985 on stage.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
So it's nearly 40 years now.
Yes, next year will be 40 years as a professional actor, yeah.
Now looking back at your career that is still fully going on, are you happy with it? How do you feel about it?
I can look back on my career now and I'm extremely happy with what I've achieved so far. There's a lot more juice in the tank. So there's a lot more I want to accomplish. And I think when you start creeping up in years, as I am, because next year I'll be 60, you start thinking, have I got enough time? I think that's the main thing. When you're younger, you don't really think about time.
Yeah.
In a way that when you get older, you do start thinking about time, because you realize that certain parts you wanted to play when you were younger, you know, you're virtually not eligible to play those roles anymore. You know, like roles like Hamlet.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of roles, you know, they're kind of gone. You know, unless somebody wants to do an experimental one and do an older Hamlet, which I think is stretching it.
Or fully rethinking the actual play.
Yeah, because, you know, the whole point is that Hamlet is a young man.
Yeah.
So for an older actor to be playing Hamlet, it's somebody's experiment.
Yeah.
it's not, you know, you just can't do it anymore. So, you know, so I'm resigned to playing roles like Claudius, which is his stepfather, which is fine, because I think that that's a more interesting role actually, in the play, even though the play's called Hamlet. But I am very, very happy with my career. I've just moved into another direction, in the sense that I'm about to start directing in 2 weeks my first play.
Interesting.
Which I've kind of thought about doing, But I thought when the time is right, but you never know when the time is right. And this job came through. The producer came to see me about a month ago because I was working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. She came to see one of the productions because I was doing 2 shows there. And said to me, I'm doing a production of this play. And the director who was originally supposed to direct it has dropped out. And I'd like to offer you the directing post. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. But I've never directed before.
Yeah.
He said, no. Well, and she said to me, you'll be fine because you've got nearly 40 years stage experience. You've worked with some of the best directors in this country. So you know what to do. It's just that you just haven't applied it.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about that was that when she first told me, I just had this overwhelming feeling of excitement and then fear, thinking, what do I know about directing? And the only thing that I realized after a time was that I hadn't put my director's hat on because I was still thinking actor mode.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking actor mode, you're just thinking about what you're doing within the context of the play. The director has to think about every aspect of the play, from costume to light to sound to staging, everything. And then as soon as I started to engage my brain in that way, all of a sudden I started to think like a director. I'm thinking about actors. I'm thinking about the type of actors. I'm thinking about staging. I'm thinking about transitions from one scene to the next. I'm thinking about lighting. I'm thinking about, okay, what if they came from there and then they tried that, so I'm constantly going back to the script and all these ideas are popping out. And then it's making me think back to when I'm in the rehearsal room and seeing how directors behave in the rehearsal room and what they do. So you're kind of modeling off people who've gone before you. Obviously, you're going to make it your own because you're doing it.
Yeah.
So even if you replicate someone's idea, there will always be an adjustment because you go, yeah, well, they did like that, but maybe I'll try this. And then that's when it becomes your idea or your version of an idea. But everybody kind of nicks from everybody anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, it's collaborative business in general.
Absolutely.
We need to collaborate. And we need there's no point of reinventing the wheel every time.
Absolutely. And that's what I find, and that's what I'm finding so interesting about stepping on this side. And now I've kind of embraced the fact that I'm going to be directing. I'm actually really looking forward to it now. So I'm looking forward to, yesterday, we spent going through a list of actors who we wanted to see. Because basically it's only going to be 4 actors. Yeah. But they're going to be playing multiple roles. So my thing is when I audition them next week, it's about seeing their range and seeing how flexible they are in terms of taking direction.
I think that's one of the most important things for that.
That's the thing that I remember one of my mentors teaching me. He said to me, the thing that I look for in actors is flexibility. I don't want actors to come into the room line perfect. I don't want it to come in set. I want, to say, okay, let's read it. You read and say, okay, right. Now let's try it this way. They'll do it that way. Okay, let's try it this way. And they'll do it that way and try it this way. Okay, that's an actor that I can work with because he can take direction. Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing, is that actors have to be able to take direction and directors have to be able to communicate so that the actor can feel safe within the space and realize that it's not about me as a director just being prescriptive and saying, do this, do that, do that. No, it's like the actor has ideas too. And between us, we can form something. And the best directors that I've worked with are the ones who allow you the space as an actor to create. And what they'll do is they'll just shape and mold. They're not telling you what to do. There might be certain, if you're going way off tangent, or you're hitting a line and you might not be hitting the operative word in that line, then they might just say, okay, let's try that again, but just try hitting this, that word, and I'll try it. And they go, and all of a sudden I go, oh God, yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. And then all of a sudden, you know, that's a collaboration. So for me, I'm looking forward to collaborating with the actors and to see how that, you know, so I'm very excited about that. You know, I still love my acting. You know, there's loads more to go in terms of the acting world. But I think it's really useful to have an opportunity to step on the other side and see it from that perspective, because I believe that will actually help my acting and make me even more understanding in the rehearsal room rather than, you know, hinder me. I think it'll actually enhance, you know. So I'm in a good place at the moment.
Exciting.
Very good place.
Exciting. Do you find, here's where it's coming from, because I know that especially on screen, there's a lot of directors who are not actors directors, you know, who are like all about like, oh, this lens, this camera, this shot, like, but they not really good with, you know, working with actors. Do you think in theater in general, directors are more understanding of actors, or it doesn't change?
I think from what I understand now and what I'm experiencing is that there's a crop of new directors coming through, and a lot of them don't have much acting experience or any kind of empathy with actors. It's about their vision, and absolutely right. But you have to take the actor into consideration. So whereas back in the day, you had a combination. You had a combination of either you had the director who was very prescriptive, like from day one, stand there, move there, do that, say this line like that. So you had those type of directors, very extreme. And then you had the other type of directors who were like, okay, let's just put it on the floor and let's see what you do. And then from that, the director will then get inspired to go, okay, that was great. Let's have that, but add this on as well and see where that takes you. And then all of a sudden you start working together, and in between you actually come up with something. Because a lot of the acting ideas mainly come from the actor. They mainly come from the actor. The director's job is to mold and shape that. And they should only, I believe, step in if the actor's going way off course. Like that's not the character or your interpretation of that line or that moment. You know, I know you're coming in hot, but if we're looking at the timeline of the journey of your character, if you're coming in too hot here in the beginning, then where have you got to go here? Let's see a journey. So maybe rather than you coming in at 10, maybe coming at 3 or 4, then you've got somewhere to build towards. Because sometimes, you know, acting is almost like a choreography. You have to kind of craft the journey of the character. Otherwise, you can't take the audience on a journey with you, you know. And ideally, it would be great to have a beginning, middle, and an end. That's the journey of the actor, so that you take the audience, whether it's on TV or film or theater. Acting is acting.
Yeah.
A journey is a journey. And it's all about starting somewhere, going through all this stuff in the middle, and then you have a resolution at the end. So in theory, we should see, if you have a character that has an arc, we should see your character develop. So if you come in too hot, then you kind of got nowhere to go. So then by the time you get to that crying scene or that scene where you're in angst or you're whatever, we have no sympathy for you because you've already given us that already. But if you save that, because I think sometimes actors have this thing where we need to show and we need to display emotion. We need to be in there. It's like actually in real life, most of the time we hold that stuff back. It's only at the lastminute.com that we cry.
Yeah.
We don't intend to cry.
We try not to.
We try not to cry.
Yeah.
We try to hold it together. We try to be in control. That's human nature. But something happens when people go into performance mode. They want to leave everything on the table. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
I think it comes, I don't know, like I think it comes with a lot of experience, because I got myself as well very often at this stage that like you're performing and you do know this intellectually, but at the same time, when it's like a kind of simple-ish scene, if you can call any scene simple, and you kind of like suddenly you just out of the scene and you're in your head and like, I'm not doing anything. I should be doing something.
Yeah.
I'm an actor.
Yeah.
How much time did you need to get to this understanding and kind of stop acting?
It takes time. I mean, especially when I was young, because I think that a lot of it is about you just kind of want to prove yourself and you want to kind of, stand out and make your mark. So there is this tendency to actually push your acting a little bit too hard. And we all have and still do suffer from that, because each new production, new actors, new director, new theater, new everything. So you're kind of the gift and the curse about our industry is that we're always starting at the beginning again. The only difference is that we got a few more tools in the arsenal, meaning experience. That's all it is. But each new role, you're starting again. You're always starting again. And your neck is always on the chopping block.
Unless it's season 2, 3, 5.
Yeah. But then even if it's season 2, 3, 5, if you ain't cutting it, they'll write you out.
Yeah.
They will write you out if you're not hitting the mark.
Yeah.
So there's always that thing where we always have to be on point. We always have to make sure that the work is of a certain level. But the ego in acting is our biggest enemy. It's our biggest enemy, because there's this constant need to prove to people that we can do it, or that we're great, or that we're brilliant, or that we're whatever. And that's fine. And I think you need a little bit of that, because what we do is not easy. As an actor, it's not easy to get up in front of people.
You've been doing it for almost 40 years. You did a lot of theater as well. Are you still nervous when you on stage, when you like first day on set, first day on stage, or like not today, but like premiere on stage, or just every new performance?
The only time I feel a little bit of nerves is the first day of rehearsals. When you're sat around a table with a bunch of actors who you've never worked with before, who you don't know, and you're just getting to know the director, producer, whatever, and then those words come out your mouth. There is a little voice in the back of your head thinking, am I being judged? I wonder if they feel as though they've made the right decision to cast me. There's always that little voice.
Yeah.
No matter how tiny it is, it's there. And once you kind of get past that voice, I wouldn't say suppress it, because it's there. Just acknowledge it's there and then just carry on. And then as the process progresses and you get more comfortable and you get more relaxed and you start to get to know the people and the director and whatever, then all of a sudden that voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter until eventually you don't even hear him anymore. He's there and you can see him, but I can't hear you. But he's always there.
Yeah.
And sometimes he may rear his ugly head at the first preview or the first dress rehearsal. He may rear his head on opening night. You got all the critics in and your friends and family and your peers.
Have you had to deal with bad reviews?
I have over the years, yeah. I did a play at the Globe Theatre back in 1998. It was a restoration comedy. And overall, all the reviews were brilliant. Mm-hmm. But then there was one review, I think it was in the Evening Standard or something like that. And he said something like Wil Johnson's vacuous performance, meaning it was just in a vacuum of nothing. Mm-hmm. But I think he didn't like our interpretation of the play. So he just was like,
was piling on everything.
Yeah. But all the other reviews were brilliant. They were great. And they really appreciated the fact that we took a typical restoration comedy and we put a modern day spin on it. And they liked that. Mm. They thought that was a progressive, where I think he was more a traditionalist and wanted it to be in a certain way. And we never gave him that. So he kind of was like, and because I was the main character in it, he kind of went for me. So, and then after that, reading that review, that was in 1998. I've never read a review since.
Oh, really?
No, don't read them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I have to be, the most important thing is I'm happy with what we've created. I'm happy that I've made a connection with the audience. I'm happy that the audience, the people who have paid their money, their hard-earned money, to come and see this show when they could have been doing something else, appreciate the show. Mm-hmm. And they appreciate what you're doing within the show. As long as I've satisfied all of those requirements, I'm done. A critic is just an opinion. Yes, it's an important opinion because it can sway whether people come to see your show or not. Mm-hmm. It can sway whether your show stays open or it gets closed. We know the power of that. But as artists, we can't be bogged down by that. Otherwise, we start living outside of ourselves. So then we're performing for someone else. So we're never in the moment. We're always aware of that third eye, looking and sort of judging yourself, doing what you're doing when you should be in the moment with the other actor, connecting with them.
Yeah.
That's where your focus should be. And that's why I don't read reviews, good or bad, because I say a good review can influence you and a bad review can influence you. You might get the best reviews in the world, all of a sudden it becomes your show.
Yeah.
Not the show that you've created with your company. Mm. It becomes your show. And that does happen and has happened over the years. And I've seen and witnessed and I've experienced that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you get a bad review and all of a sudden actors, they're down and they don't have that because all of a sudden they've stopped believing in what they're doing.
Yeah.
So my answer is don't read them and then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Whether it's a bad review or a good one, if the audience like it, you will know.
Have you got used to looking at yourself on screen?
No, you never do. That's why some actors don't watch their work back at all.
Yeah.
Which I don't, I don't, prescribe to that. It's a bit like an athlete not looking at his running technique.
Yeah.
He has to know where he's going wrong.
So yeah, but there is from my perspective, there could be some technical things that, for example, you're just doing something weird with your face a little bit, sometimes, or you doing some technical things that are not really affecting your emotional range, but at the same time, they're really disturbed from your acting. But another side of it, I know that sometimes I'm watching my tapes or stuff that I did. And especially when it's really fresh, I look at it in my head, it was very different. Even emotionally, it felt very different than what I see right here.
Yeah.
So that can be a little bit, disturbing.
Always. Because it's never how you imagine.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I don't know if it's something that we can ever get used to. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we actually can, to be honest.
But now we have to, because we, like, everything is self-tapes for auditions. You
Yeah.
have to be a judge of yourself when
You
do
have to.
self-tape.
Yeah. And you've got to make choices and you've got to make decisions and you've got to live with it, you know. And so, you know, we make a choice, we make a decision, we act on it, we send it off, and then you just try as best as you can to let it go. You don't fully let it go, but if you can let go 80%, then that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, whereas sometimes I know actors who, you know, they don't let it go. They keep going on and on about it. Go, oh, maybe I should do it again. It's like take 20, take 25. It's like, come on, man.
Did you have any kind of strict rules for yourself when you're doing self-tapes?
Try not to be too harsh on myself, especially after the first couple of takes. Try not to be too harsh. And just try to stick to your choices.
Yeah.
Half of it, if not more than half of it, is what walks in the door.
Yeah.
And if it fits your criteria. So a lot of the times we'll be going up for stuff and your agent will sell you because they're good salesmen.
Yeah.
You know, this role and da-da-da-da-da and blah, 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 and this and that. But at the end of the day, if the director and the producers and the money people have an idea in their head, they want to see that walk in the door first. If that don't walk in the door, then we'll see what else is out there. Literally. Then, but 9 times out of 10, it does walk in the door. It does. I remember going up for a part in Game of Thrones years ago. And the description of the character was African, over 6 foot, big, muscular, bald head, dark skin. I said to my agent, are you serious? I said, from this description, that is like night and day to me. That's not me. No, but they really want to see you because I like your work and da-da-da-da. Anyway, I said, okay. So I went in, met the casting director, did the reading, said, Will, that was perfect. Let's do another one. Exactly the same. I just want to get it tighter. I said, okay, fine. Did it again. Oh, amazing. Amazing. Great. And I said, to her, I said, do you think I'm the right fit for this? He said, we're seeing everyone. Doesn't matter. It's all about the acting. When Game of Thrones came out, what actor did they choose?
I don't know.
6 foot, blah, blah, bald head, African, big bill. That's what they chose. So why did you waste my time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you waste my time? I'm not 6 foot. I'm not big build. I'm 5'9". I'm slim build. I'm not dark skin. You know, I haven't got a bald head. I don't look like I've just killed my mother. Do you know what I mean? I don't look like that. So why did you see me? Why? And this is the thing that I don't get with some castings.
Yeah.
You know, and now if I do get to go in the room, I say to them, do you think I'm the right fit? I actually ask them. Because I'm not the character description that you described. Yeah. Is there a reason why you want to see someone like me? Because I am the polar opposite to what you have as your remit for this character. Yeah. No, it's not about that. They always say that, and then they cast exactly what is on the page. Maybe it's like in case that this few times in their career happened that someone really surprised them and they fought for them, and then the director said, all right, I'll take them. Yeah. And I'm sure that does happen. I'm sure it does. But not in my experience. Which is fine, because that's, you know, because it's like, you know, I went for that role and I remember thinking, okay, I am not this character. So how are you going to play it? I said, think of Bruce Lee. Slim, small guy, but deadly, like a ninja. Yeah. So play the character like a ninja, like a stealth warrior. Yeah. you don't see him coming. So I did it like that. So I gave them something which was a complete alternative to what they had, described that they were looking for.
Yeah.
So at least I knew that I went in there and I gave you something different. I didn't try to live up to that. I didn't sort of come in and try to be 6'4". I didn't try to do that because that wouldn't have worked. Yeah. That would have been silly.
Instead of trying to be something you're not.
Yeah.
You've tried to be something that you are, but leaned into it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I tend to do when I get, sort of called in for these roles that I know 9.5 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, I ain't going to get. Mm. But sometimes you just use it as an exercise. Just to say, okay, that's fine. I'll just give you something different. Mm-hmm. What I've learned over the years is learning to resolve where you are right now and finding peace with that. I wouldn't say contentment because we're always striving. So we'll never be 100% content, especially if we know that there's something out there that we want, then we'll always be pushing for it. But at the same time, you can find a level of peace within that. Otherwise you're always living outside yourself. And that's the hardest thing to do in this profession. It's really hard. And I don't think that it's an equation that we'll ever quite solve. I think we can get to it to a certain degree, but I don't think it's something that we'll ever resolve, especially if you're an ambitious person.
Yeah. And
you have dreams and there are things that you want to achieve, then you'll never resolve that. And I don't think you should. Mm. I think one should always be striving, always be striving. And I think that's a noble and a good quality.
How do you find motivation?
That's a never ending question because we're always I find the strength by constantly having to reinvent myself. Like in the sense that we have to motivate ourselves all the time because it's never easy. It's never, ever, ever easy. And that's one thing that I will never lie to anyone about and say that it is because it never is. There was a saying that I read a few years ago. It's something like, you might as well chase after your dreams because the time is going to pass anyway. Regardless.
Yeah.
Whether you're depressed or you're happy, time is passing regardless. So if time is passing regardless, how am I going to use that time? How am I going to use it? Because no matter how I feel or think, the time is still going anyway. So therefore, how are you going to use that time? And I came to the conclusion that I might as well use that time striving for what I want rather than going, it's never going to happen, or this is never going to this, or this is never going to that. And therefore leaning into that. And then you just fall into this pit of negativity and despair. That will always be there, hovering in the background, always, because that's just life. Anything that we love, we have to fight for it. We have to work for it. Anything. Doesn't matter what it is.
So you did audition for Game of Thrones. You didn't get it.
Yeah.
But you did get House of the Dragon. We have to talk about it for sure. Because it's one of the biggest shows now and ever.
Yeah.
How was your experience? How did you get in it?
I tell you what, that job changed my whole perspective in terms of filming a TV show. One, it made me realize that there are levels and levels in this industry. There are levels of work. And working on House of the Dragon was like working at the top of the tree in a big Hollywood movie because the budget was about the same. I can't say what the budget was, but the budget was like working on a Marvel movie. It was like working on Avengers. It was that level. The whole show we started April 2021 and they finished February 2022. I started work April 2021 and worked on it on and off until December of 2021. One of the things I realized about those type of jobs, they have time and they have resources. And when you have those two in your corner, if you turn in a dud performance, then you are an idiot.
Yeah.
Because everything is laid out and catered for you to do your best work. And if you don't show up, it's all on you. Simple.
Yeah.
That's what I realized about working. Whereas you're doing a small scale film and you've only got 2 weeks to shoot it, right? If the film flops or if you don't, it's time and resources. And to a certain extent, you can kind of excuse that. But at the end of the day, if you really want it badly enough, then you just put the work in.
Of course.
That's the bottom line. You will just put the work in, and it doesn't matter about time. The work is the work. That's at the end of the day, the work is the work.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 10 months. The work is the work. That never changes. What is useful is if you have time and resources. That's a benefit.
Yeah.
It's a benefit. It means for the first time, I can work and I can just focus on that. Just focus on my acting, period.
Yeah.
My last scene in House of the Dragon, it was episode 8, my big scene. Do you know how long we had for that scene? 1 week to shoot one scene.
I remember the scene.
Yeah, that scene.
Pretty gruesome ending.
Yes.
Yes.
We had 1 week to film that scene. 1 week. So you're talking about getting on set at 8 o'clock in the morning, finishing anywhere between 6 and 7 from Monday to Friday. One scene.
How is it like? Was it done like, so today we're filming this person and we have everyone on set and
They just filmed everything multiple times, different angles, different characters on different days, different, each camera setup was 4 cameras, apart from when they're using the Steadicam.
Yeah.
So every shot was a 4 camera setup.
Wow.
4 camera setup.
So how many times did you have to deliver your speech?
Hundreds of times. And each time I did it, I had to give them a different version.
Did it change through the week? Did you try to do to keep it consistent? Or you it did really change and like you started with something and you ended with something else?
They wanted me to give them multiple. So it's like, so you do it and they say, that was great. Well, okay, let's try another one where you're like this. Okay, that was great. Let's try this. Let's try this. It was like, it felt like a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually working on House of the Dragon, I would say, in terms of filming, was one of the easiest jobs I've ever done. Forget the scale of the job. Forget the magnitude of the job. The actual work itself was the easiest place to work because it was the first time that I was just focused on the acting and nothing else. And literally, they would want you to give them multiple takes. So when they get into the edit, they can go, okay, which way do we want to pitch this? Where do we want to go with this? So the more choices you give them is the better for them. The more choices. The only thing that you had to be consistent in is just your lines.
And continuity, I think, as well, right?
Just depending on if they wanted you to do very much the same kind of take, then that's when continuity kicks in.
Yeah.
But if they want you to do something extreme, then they ain't worrying about continuity because they know that they can cut around that. Because we're covering this from every angle you can think of. I mean, you imagine you're doing one scene. I mean, it was a big scene, but you're doing one scene and every single camera setup is for them big Arri, Alexa, whatever.
Yeah.
Those cameras, 4 setups. The DOP had a video village. The director had a video village. They had their own separate video villages.
This magnitude is
That's what I'm saying.
It's insane.
Every department had their own video village.
Yeah.
Not everybody was just crowded around one monitor. No, it didn't work like that.
Yeah.
Everybody had their own video village. That's the scale.
Mm.
And that's just behind the scenes. The set itself was real. The set was real.
There should be some green screens now.
I mean, when I say real, it's like you step onto the set and you feel as though you're in a real place.
Yeah.
It's real. It's like when you're, all the interiors, they were real sets, built to scale. Built to scale. So if you're walking up like a massive staircase, that was a massive staircase for real.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It was built to scale. We had the biggest sound stages at Warner Brothers Studios, the biggest, and we had, I think it was 4 or 5 sound stages. So when you saw the scale of those dragon heads, that was to scale. That wasn't CGI. That was built to scale.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying about levels of work. So all you had to do was just slot in. There was a scene where there was a wedding. It was in I think it was episode 5. There was a wedding, and that took 2 weeks to film. The whole wedding sequence took 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we do a take. Again, everything is multiple, a camera. Then they'd go off and discuss. We'd go back to the green room. You're in the green room for like 2-3 hours while they're setting up for the next take. Sometimes 2, in fact, the longest we were in the green was like nearly 5 hours while they were setting up.
Been there.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
you know that type of film.
Yeah.
And that was it for the whole duration. But as I said, it was the easiest job.
Acting wise, yeah.
Acting wise, because
it sounds almost like theater, because you just like, it's all like constant rehearsal that is getting filmed. That's amazing, because especially on screen, like in theater, ideally you do have enough time to kind of to workshop everything and to prepare, to rehearse. But on screen, very often it's just few takes, especially when you like a very tiny, small character, because your character wasn't small, it was big, it was prominent character. But if you're a small character, it's just 1-2 takes. Sometimes they're you didn't even get into, because you do need few rehearsal, few run-throughs until even when you're really prepared, you need to rehearse with a real person, to bounce it off, and then you get into the rhythm or something, and you feel it, and then we're done.
Okay. Yeah, that is normally how it works.
Yeah,
but on that job, I remember we had a day's rehearsal, and it was really just for camera to say, okay, this is roughly how we're going to shoot it. So they'd kind of be discussing, and you have the director, DOP, the camera operator, or whatever. They're all kind of discussing, okay, this and then you kind of say, okay, this is roughly kind of the blocking, and so you stand there, and you sort of stand there, and okay, all right, okay. See you guys on the day. No acting required. It's really just to work out moves for the camera.
Yeah.
Roughly where we're going to put the camera. Because obviously nothing is completely set in stone. You have an idea, and that's because you need that to then start. But it's like, save it for the day, man. Don't even worry about this. This is just marking. Just mark it. Don't do anything. Just mark it. So we kind of have an idea. That's all it is. But we're going to have a week to film this, man. So don't worry about nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the actual, going back to your initial question, the audition process, because it was interesting actually, because when I went out for Game of Thrones, I went out for I think it was about 2 or 3 parts in Game of Thrones and just didn't get them. So I thought, okay. But I absolutely loved the show. Loved it. I've seen the entire series 3 times.
Yeah. Same here.
And I remember it was the last series, sitting down with my wife, watching it and going, man, I wish I was in something like that. And then 2020, September 2020, we're in lockdown and all that kind of stuff and blah, 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 blah. I get an email from my agent saying, we'd like you to do a self-tape for this show called Red Gun. And then he put in brackets, I think it's actually House of the Dragon, but anyway. You never heard that from me. What's that? But that was the working title.
Yeah.
It was Red Gun.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And I remember getting these sides and they said, these are not the sides from the actual show itself, but just to give you a guideline, just to kind of see where you're at. I'm reading going, this is a scene from Game of Thrones. It's a scene with the Lannisters. Oh, okay. Because I knew the dialogue so well.
Those are the best scenes.
I knew the dialogue so well. And it was a scene between the father.
Tywin.
Yes, Tywin Lannister. And do you remember the woman who, Diana Rigg, her character, she played the grandmother of the girl
Olenna?
who married
Joffrey.
Joffrey.
Yeah. I think Lady Olenna. She was in the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was a scene between
two of my most favorite characters to be in the show. Both of them.
It was between those two characters. So, oh my God, I know this dialogue.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I read for it, and that was in the September. So me and my wife, we shot one scene there where you are now, standing up, and then the other scene, which was between, is it Cersei Lannister and her dad, which we shot there.
Yeah.
So he was like round the table and she was talking down to him. So we shot those two scenes, did them, was happy, sent it off. As per usual, you don't hear anything.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, well, whatever. One of many, hundreds.
Yeah.
And in January 2021, just after New Year's, get an email from my agent saying, they really liked your tape.
Yeah.
But they want to see you for another role. So I'm going to send through the sides. So I'm like, okay. I don't recognize any of this dialogue from Game of Thrones. Okay, all right. 2 scenes. We shot both scenes around the table, sent the tapes off on the Monday. So it was a week had passed. I got up, wasn't working, thinking whatever, New Year's, no work, whatever. Anyway, my wife had gotten up early. She said, do you want a coffee? I said, okay, yeah, cool. Came downstairs, sat right there on that chair over there. I checked my phone. There's an email. See your scripts attached. I thought, is this junk mail? Is this some kind of spam? If I open this shit, it's gonna mess up my computer or something. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, this is just weird. See your scripts aside. See your scripts inside. Thinking, okay. I thought, no, this is some kind of wind up. So anyway, I messaged my agent. I said, someone sent me some scripts. What is this all about? He rang me and said, oh gosh, I should have called you on Friday. They offered you the part. You knew from the Friday. Made me sweat all over the weekend. They sent me the scripts.
Yeah.
He just, oh God, yeah. I should have called you on Friday.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize that they'd made the decision in less than a week. Because they kind of knew we want this guy, but where can we put him?
Yeah.
Because originally I went up for the role of Lord Corlys.
Mm-hmm.
That's the role I went out for originally. That's why they said, we like you, but we want to see you for something else.
Yeah.
And they thought, okay, the brother. We think he'd be right for the brother. Do you know what I mean? And so that's how I got it. And it was just, and he said to me, you're about to enter into one of the biggest shows in the world. I'm like, okay.
No pressure.
Right. No pressure. But I knew from the get-go, but I couldn't tell anybody. The only person who knew, apart from my agent, was my wife, that I knew that I was only going to be doing one series. So I knew, but I had to just hold it down for a year and a half. Yeah. So I couldn't tell anybody anything at all. Everybody just assumed that because I got it, that's it. You're up and running, mate. 4 or 5 series, the money train, everything. Yeah. It's cool. Gravy. I'm like, it's only 1 series. It's only 1.
You know what? It's a dream for some people to be even like on 1 episode of those.
Mate, I'm telling you, I just said to myself, you know, I put the energy out there. I said, God, I would love something like this. And not only did I get something like this, I got the prequel to Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And the successful prequel, because I remember there was like, 2, 3 prequels that were like in the works. I've heard about one. I think maybe there was like a pilot with Naomi Watts that was cancelled.
That was cancelled, yeah. And a mate of mine got the role in that I went up for. And he got cancelled. So you see, what's meant for you won't pass you by, no matter what. Because I'd had all these various attempts and nothing. And then eventually I got that one.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I was like, it doesn't matter what comes after this. I've done it. I've done it, you know, and to know that you're attached to that franchise and you will be immortalized there forever because you're there.
Yeah.
That for me, that's the success, is when those moments happen, and they don't happen very often. They don't. But that moment happened, and man, I'm telling you, I was just floating. I knew I had work to do. I knew that there was a lot of work to do.
Did you feel like it was more pressure than other jobs, or?
I tell you what I felt. I tell you what I just felt. I just felt the whole time. I just felt excited.
Yeah. Because the cast is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cast is phenomenal.
And it felt like, and it was one of the nicest companies ever.
Yeah.
Because it actually felt like we were doing a very long theatre job, as you said earlier. Because it was like a company of actors.
Yeah.
Because we were all working together on and off for, you know, over 10 months. All of us working together. And, you know, phenomenal actors, and great, incredible human beings, because we all got on so well. And every time I went to work, whether it was rehearsals, you know, fight rehearsals, you know, because of the battle scene and all that, I was just excited. I never ever felt nerves at any point at all. The only time, actually, the only time I felt nerves was when I saw the episode 7, when I had to learn the High Valyrian.
Oh yeah, you had to speak High Valyrian.
That took me 3 months to learn that.
What was the process?
I worked with the High Valyrian language. Is something that was invented by a American professor for Game of Thrones. So it's an invented language. Invented.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not a real language, but it's an invented one. But, you know, just like with any language, there are rules and regulations. So I worked with this brilliant dialect coach, and we had lessons every week for 3 months. So as soon as I got the job, the lesson started. So it was January, February, March, and then we started in April. So I had like the rest of January, all of February, and all of March. And in order to get that language in your mouth, I practiced it every single day for 3 months. Every spare minute I could get, because it's not only about learning the words, it's about remembering it and then putting the right meaning behind it. So it's about learning a language and then understanding what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like me, I understand English. So, you know, I can put all the right stresses and the right kind of, you know, all the emphasis. It's exactly the same principle, but with another language. So it took a while for it to get in my mouth. It took a long while. Wow. And that was my first scene, which we filmed in Cornwall at St. Michael's, Mount, which was the funeral of one of the Velaryon, of my niece. That was my first thing. So I was thrown in at the deep end. It's like your first scene, which I think we spent about 3 or 4 days shooting that, was me speaking High Velaryon for about 3-4 days. And I rehearsed. When the dialect coach came, I was ready. I didn't feel nervous at all.
Nice.
Not at all. Because I knew it backwards. Velaryo anoprore lopo ojares. Ilvon cumbiares. Ilvon treci iares. Sidore vaginigon ilvon bebilis.
You know what was interesting about that? Because you did it like in High Velaryon. Probably there were like just 2-3 people on set who understood you and who knew if you would make a mistake, and maybe like some other actors who maybe also had to learn Velaryon as you were, and the coach, but everyone else, director didn't for sure. No. So even if you would do a job that you were not proud of, they would be like, yeah, I didn't understand it, but it was very touchy.
Yeah, exactly. That was the ironic thing about it, actually, was that, there was only about, as you said, me, the dialect coach, and that's it. Just 2 people who knew exactly what I was saying, Yeah. But she was extreme. She said, Will, you were pitch perfect. Yeah. So I thought, thank you. Because at the end of the day, you've got your own pride and you just want to hit those standards and that level. And to know that I was able to learn, a new language and interpret it properly. Yeah. Not just say the words, because anyone can just say the words, but to put the meaning at the right, to put the right stresses at the right time. That's the skill. Yeah. And that's why you've got to, every waking moment, when I had a spare moment, I was going over those lines.
You know what's interesting for me as a foreigner, someone my native language is Russian. And it's so interesting that like there's so much time on those productions like House of Dragon, Game of Thrones. There's like people spending, as you said, like weeks and weeks learning how to pronounce everything in the language that doesn't really exist. It's so interesting for me when sometimes I'm watching some, films and Hollywood film series where people, English-speaking actors, have to speak Russian or Ukrainian or like some other languages. And I can barely understand what they're saying because it's like if they say something with very thick accent, but at least I can understand, it's already a step up. Because sometimes it's just like, what did it know?
Yeah.
This is an interesting thing.
I know exactly. I mean, it's like if I watch a film or a TV series and somebody's playing a Jamaican and my family's from Jamaica and I speak the patois, that's like a second language to me. So I can hear when someone is not doing it correctly. Yeah. I can just hear it, and there are many, 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 especially, dare I say, American actors who don't respect the language enough to learn it properly. Because if we have to speak American, either we come with it or we don't. Yeah. But they won't take half measures. But sometimes I do feel as though they get a bit lazy when it comes to doing like a Caribbean accent. They get very, very lazy, and I detest. It's like, why not use the real thing? Why are you using this person who obviously cannot do it properly? They can't do it properly. So I'm always a stickler for that. So I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I have to ask another question.
Yeah.
Have you had any backlash from the fact that originally those characters were white in books, and then the whole cast, the Velaryons, are black? And there were people who were not happy about it. Have you had to deal with it in any way?
Fortunately for me, at that time, I was not on social media at all. And when it was all announced and, you know, everything, certain people were coming up to me and saying, have you heard? Heard what? About I'm like, no, I'm actually not on social media, because I'd actually closed down all of my accounts at that time. And I was off social media from 2019 until maybe not last year. I think it was the year before I went back on, but there was a few years when I was off it. So I missed all of that. And so when people were saying to me, what do you feel about that? I said, I don't feel anything about that, because at the end of the day, they ain't paying my bills. I'm doing the job. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what they say. It means nothing to me. I've got my dream job.
Yeah.
And they're paying me. And I'm acting in it. And that's all that matters. Everything else is just white noise, as far as I'm concerned. It's just white noise. People will say whatever they want to say. It's like when they cast Michael Keaton as Batman back in 1988, people were up in arms. How can you cast the guy that played Beetlejuice? He's not going to be the right Batman. Yeah. People always have something to say.
Yeah.
Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're whatever. If you don't fit in with their remit, because it's like, he was white and they cast him as Batman. What's the problem? He's too short. He does mainly comedy. We don't like him. It should be somebody taller. It should be somebody more da-da-da. It should be somebody with a square jaw. It should be somebody who has a deeper voice. He should be, that's not the...
And how many cases there are when public is like, well, how can you? And then, oh my God, he was the best Joker ever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people will always have something to say. So when it comes to stuff like that, not to say that I sweep it under the carpet, I just don't give it no weight. Because at the end of the day, you ain't paying my bills. HBO are. HBO's paying my bills. HBO with George R.R. Martin and the executives and the board of directors said, we want to make this family black. Were you in the room? And these are white people who made these decisions. So what's your beef?
Yeah. And again, it's like, it's not like we take some historical figures and start to change them.
Exactly.
Like it's a fantasy show.
It's a fantasy show with dragons.
Yes.
If you can believe a person riding on a dragon, why are you having a hard time with that character being switched from white to black? But yet you ain't got no problem with a person going, Jakaris, and this fire coming out of his mouth. A person talking to a dragon. You ain't got no problem with that. No problem whatsoever. A woman walking through fire. You got no problem with that.
Yeah.
But yet you have a problem with changing the color of a character. You got a problem with that.
In a fiction book. In a fiction world.
In a fiction world.
Yeah.
You've got no problem with all these other criterias. So that's why I'm like, at the end of the day, if your voice was that important, you would have been in on those meetings when they made those decisions. The fact that you weren't means that your voice was not important. So therefore, you're just blowing hot air. Because at the end of the day, the series came out, it did incredibly well and won the Golden Globe for Best Drama. And at the end of the day, most of the people who want to watch the show, they will watch the show, regardless. Because they're into the story. They're into the story.
And then that's another thing. It's just like, from my perspective, it doesn't, in this case, it doesn't affect, it actually, in this case, having a different race, like, actually even helped the story, because you can clearly see those kids are not from that family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I mean, I remember having one meeting and saying, knowing the type of character that Vaemond is, why doesn't he just say it? I mean, I said it in an interview. I said, I've got to get it out somewhere because it's so obvious.
Yeah.
They're white. They're white. If they were from his nephew, then they would be children of color with their type of hair, you know, but they're not. They're white and they got brown hair. So we knew who the dad, we know who the dad is. It's so obvious, but it's like the pink elephant in the corner. Nobody wants to talk about it.
No one addresses it.
But we know that it's right there and it's going, rah, rah, No, but it's right there.
Yeah.
And he was the only one that went, you know what? I'm just going to say it as it is. You know, those kids are BA whatever. Anyway, I won't say the word. But, you know, that he had to say it. He knew he was falling on his sword. And I said to the producers, I said, you know, when we were going through the script, I said, Vaemond is falling on his sword and he knows he is. So he's got to go out as strong as can be. No weakness at all. No compromise. He's not a compromising character. And that's what I said to them. I said, this guy wears his heart on his sleeve. He will say what he feels. Not what he thinks, what he feels.
Yeah. Which
is a whole different thing. Because you can say what you think and be, you know, diplomatic. But if you say what you feel, it's just going to come out. And if you're going to say, I hate you, you're just going to say, I hate you.
Yeah.
And that was the basis for that character. That's why in the episode before at the funeral, and he kind of made that veil thing about, you know, our blood's been poisoned. And he's looking directly at Rhaenyra going, yeah, and you're the one who poisoned it with those kids. Because we know that they're not Velaryon. We know that. And everybody kind of like, did he just say what he did? Yeah, he did. He's that guy. He's the guy that will say what it is. Yeah. So for me, to actually play a part like that, and the fact that he dies, that was immaterial to me. It's like, dude, your death has been immortalized. No one will ever forget it. So for me, I'm like, dude, you have actually, in the first series, you portrayed one of the most iconic characters in the first series of House of the Dragon. Yeah. That will always be there. So for me, I'm like, you know, to have that opportunity to be involved in a show of that nature and to play that character, I just thought, thank you, God, because, you know, we don't know when we're going to get these kind of opportunities in our career. You know, we'll get other opportunities.
Yeah.
But on that level and on that scale, that's not guaranteed for anyone. For anyone, because if we think about movie stars or big TV stars, how many of them are there compared to all the actors that are out there? They're like 0.0%.
Yeah.
The majority of us are out here hustling. Even if we've done big work, we're still hustling. You know, I've done House of the Dragon. I'm still hustling. You know, I've been up for at least, since that job, I've been up for at least 50, 60 TV and film jobs. Ask me how many of them I've got, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. That's about it.
Yeah.
Because that's the ratio and that's how it works.
But have you noticed any kind of effects, like more tapes after the House
Not necessarily. It's kind of just sort of this steady average. Because a lot of it all depends on the climate. And then also a lot of things were affected by the writer's strike, which knocked back productions in a way that we're still feeling the effects of it even now. Even now, we're still feeling the effects. So the rate of, you know, auditions has gone down tremendously. There's more of an awareness of who I am. And, which I think is nice. And last year, I had an opportunity to do an American film, playing one of the lead parts in this movie. But the ironic thing about that was that it was an American film that was shot here. So I didn't even get to go out to America to shoot it. I shot it here, you know. So it's like, so West Hampstead became Boston.
Great.
That's how they did it. Because there's certain buildings and certain streets in West Hampstead that are almost replicas of certain parts of Boston. So and then also it was cheaper for them to, and the ironic thing was that it was an American film company shooting an American film in England using English actors to play American. Go figure.
That's an interesting thing. Like I've seen a lot of examples when British actors actually do good American accent and they play Americans. In my experience, I remember only one case of an American actress playing a British person and actually doing a very decent job. It wasn't Suits. everything else, I don't even remember. Like, I don't even know. Are there any other cases?
Very few. It's slowly, Americans are twigging that they've now got to start expanding their repertoires. Because there was a time when Americans were very comfortable with just playing Americans all the time and not thinking, well, I don't have to extend myself. But then all of a sudden, you've got all these British, Australian actors coming in and playing You Better Than You.
Yeah.
Killing it.
Yeah.
To the point where they're like, we better fix up because these guys can play us, but can we play them? No, we can't. we need to brush up on our, on our English accents. So more and more now, American actors are taking dialect classes and learning to master the English accent with all its complexities. Just the same way like the Americans has its complexities, has its subcultures of language within the main frame of the language.
Closing on in the House of the Dragon, who was your favorite person to work with?
I would be very fair and say that every actor I worked with on that show, who I had scenes with, they were all brilliant in their own way. And I'm not just saying that as a cop out.
With the cast like that, they are amazing.
They were brilliant. I mean, Steve Toussaint, who played my brother, I've known Steve for over 30 years. So we were good friends way before. So when we found out that we were working together, it was great because I did a TV series called Waking the Dead. And in Waking the Dead, Steve played my best friend in one of the episodes. And that was back in 2002 or 3 when we did that. Steve's very first TV job in 1988, we were in the same episode. It was, can't remember what it was called now, but we worked together then on his first job on television. We haven't done theatre together or film. So it was great that we did, he did his first TV job with me. Then he had a guest lead in Waking the Dead where he played my best friend. And then we ended up playing brothers. So for us, it was like sort of like a coming home. So it was great knowing that you were going to be working with one of your mates who you know very well.
Yeah.
So there was a complete relaxedness and a comfortableness because, we didn't have to do any kind of, so our characters, like, no, we know each other, mate. We're good. We can just crack on with the work. Do you know what I mean? And that's always useful when you're working with your friends.
Yeah.
It's a shorthand. You don't have to go through that whole, let's do these trust exercises and let's do this and this. We used to rave together, so we're good. So we're all right. We ain't got to worry about all that stuff. Yeah. It's there. It's there, in the friendship. And we just take that, bring it into the work and it's good. So that was great. But everyone on that job, Matt, Emma Darcy, Rhys Ifans, Olivia Cook, Paddy Considine, they were all just incredible actors and incredible human beings. Rhys Ifans is one of the funniest cats you will ever meet in your life. I have never, every time I was around that guy, I was in stitches. I was on the floor. He's just so witty and so clever. And so he's a very bright, intelligent, smart man, very witty, very sharp on his humor. And he can make a joke out of anything. Even if he's telling you a serious situation, you're still busting up because it's the way that he does it. Do you know what I mean? But he was lovely though. Lovely, lovely man. I got a lot of time for Rhys, a lot of time for him. So, it was just a great experience working on that job. And, I hope I get another similar experience like that.
And in comparison, so if we're talking now, we're comparing high budget, huge production, a week for one scene, in comparison to soap. You worked in soap,
yes,
right? It was 150 30-something episodes on
Yeah.
Emmerdale?
Emmerdale, yeah.
Emmerdale.
Yeah. I did that for 2 years. Yeah.
How would you compare those? Because I've heard, I never had the pleasure to, working on soap. It's an amazing learning experience for an actor.
Emmerdale, I was very, very fortunate. I had a great character. And I had a fantastic 2 years on that job. When you're working on a soap, you can view a soap in two ways. Either you're picking up a check and you're in a secure job, or you can say, oh my God, I've got all this camera experience. I've got all this time on camera. Let me use it. I chose the latter. I had all this time on camera.
While still picking up the check.
While picking up the check. So I had the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of myths surrounding soaps. People say, oh, you don't have no time. You don't have no this. You don't have no that. You know.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Rubbish.
No?
No. Not true. It's a well-oiled machine. A well-oiled machine cannot give you things lastminute.com. It will fall apart. We worked in blocks on Emmerdale. So we would shoot over 2 weeks. We'd shoot, I think it was between 8 and 13 episodes. They have 3 units. So you got the red unit, the green unit, and the yellow unit. So you could be working on any unit at any time. Or you could start off in the morning on red, afternoon, go on to green, and then by the close of the day, you're on yellow, depending on what your storyline is. You were given your scripts at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So the way how the scripts are written is you can literally take out your pages and you see your through line of your character. So if you're not involved in a scene, you don't need to read it, because it's like we're having a scene here and somebody's having a scene in the house across the road. We're not involved in it, so we don't need to know what's going on there. So therefore, we don't need to worry about that. We just need to worry about what's happening here.
Yeah.
And anything that it comes within this vicinity. So you never, ever have to read the whole script. You literally just have to take out your sides. And then you see, and it's a through line. Do you know what I mean? So, because there's multiple storylines going on all the time. So, and they can't cross like that. Very rarely do they cross. You know what I mean? So if in a half an hour episode, you're in 5 scenes, you can just take out those 5 scenes and you'll see that there's a through line going through all those 5 scenes that has nothing to do with any of the other stuff over here. So therefore, why are you reading that? That's just wasting your time.
Yeah.
Focus on what you're doing. So if in the block, they're doing 13 episodes and you're involved in 9 episodes, that's 9 episodes where there's a through line throughout everything. So all you got to do is just learn your lines, work out your journey. If there's anything that you're not sure about, you have time to go to the producers and discuss.
Yeah.
If there's line changes or not quite sure about the thread or what's going on here, you have time. You've got 2-3 weeks to do that. So when it comes time for you to film, if you don't turn up on set with your lines learned and you've had 3 weeks to learn it, that's on you. So anybody that says, oh, it's like, yeah, it's because you didn't do your homework.
No, but I've heard that sometimes there's last minute changes.
That happens on everything.
Yeah.
That happens on everything. And it doesn't matter what show you're working on, there is always last minute changes, because that's the nature of the art. The art is not a fixed point. It's a movable feast. So things are always moving and shifting. I've been on set on Emmerdale and I've gone, that line? And they're like, yeah. I said, can I try it like this, or maybe just kind of lose that word, or maybe just adapt it a little bit and say, okay, well, what do you want to do? Then I'll give them my sense. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, let's change it. You know what I mean? But in terms of like your blocking and all that, because it's a fast turnover, those things are kind of set, and that's fine. because there's not much movement in the sense of, it's not some big action thing where, you're going to have a big dolly track and then the steady cam is going to move. No, it doesn't, it's just about ordinary people. So therefore, if you're working in the studio, you have like a 3-camera setup. So if you're in the Woolpack, for instance, in the pub, and you're sitting around the table, there's the table there, you got your drink. So the pub is normally divided into 3 sections. So you got one section here, one section there, one section there. They may write an episode where your storyline is you're sitting here. Yeah. So we're going to shoot all your stuff first. So you and the other person, you do it. Yeah. Then we're going to switch the camera over there. Are we going to look back that way? No. Okay. You can go. You're done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they try and do it in a way where if we don't need to see you in the background, it's easier for us to then shoot. Because we ain't got to worry about continuity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they sort of, it doesn't always work like that. And sometimes you do end up in the back of shots. But they try and organize it in a way where you're not. So I remember going up to Leeds to shoot a scene in the Woolpack. I got on set, so I drove and this is when I was living in London. Mm-hmm. I drove all the way up to Leeds, which is, about nearly a 3-hour drive. So I drove up the night before. I was on set first thing in the morning. Got on set for 8:00. I was done by 8:30. I had one line. And then drove back down to London. And then I was off for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? That's how it works. Because you're not going to be there all the time.
Yeah.
They've got 70 characters in that show, multiple stories. So there will be times when you may be off for a month. The longest I was off was 2 months. But you're on standby because anything could happen and they might need to pull you in. So don't be running off on no holiday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And keep your phone on. Because, somebody may break their leg and then all of a sudden we have to rejig the schedule. So then we're going to actually pull you in. So we need you in tomorrow. You have to be available to be in tomorrow because you're under contract. Even though, they say you're contracted from this time to that time. They don't say how many times they're going to use you. It doesn't matter. We're paying you. Shut up. You're being paid.
Makes sense.
You're good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we use you 6 times out of a year and you're getting that big fat fee, what are you complaining about? You're getting your money. Do you know what I mean? I'm not, it's not that crass, but that's kind of the baseline. You know what I mean? So when people are complaining or whatever, it's like, dude, you're being paid. You're all right. You're all right.
Anyone's complaining even.
The amount of actors that would love to be in your position.
Most actors are complaining about not having
exactly. And here you are working and you're complaining.
Yeah.
You need to give that job to someone else, mate, who can appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of basically what it is. Anybody, but it's like it's not all relative. It's about you knowing that you're in a very fortunate position. And respecting the fact that you're in a very fortunate position because most actors are not working. And here you are with regular work, being paid good money.
Are there any lessons that you learned that you think you would want to share with people who are in acting from your experience on those productions when you had like long runs, like Waking the Dead, Emmerdale, when you were you had up to 100 something episodes and when you work consistently for long periods of time. What kind of lessons did you learn?
What I learned was what keeps you going over those long periods of time is appreciation. Appreciation that you're in a hit show. You've been well paid. You've been well looked after. And never losing sight of that. Because sometimes people can lose sight of that. And then all of a sudden, it becomes about them. It's not about you. You are serving a product. You are serving a show and you're part of something. It's not a part of you. You are part of something. And so other people are part of it, and always remembering that, you're in a good place. I think sometimes we forget the basics. And we forget the basics that you're in a big #1 hit show. Don't ever forget that. Don't expect that, because it can all be taken away. But while it's here, appreciate it and enjoy it and respect it more than anything. Respect your fellow actors, respect your crew, respect your director, respect your audience, respect. It's not all about the work. The work is one aspect of it, but it's all the other stuff that can mess people's heads up. You know what I mean? The adulation, the fame, the money. And then all of a sudden there comes this sense of entitlement, this sense of, you know, when you start believing the hype. No, you know, I am grateful for every single job that I've done over the last nearly 40 years. Because every time I get a job, I celebrate.
Yeah.
I celebrate because, you know, to get a job is hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy. Anybody that says, you know, and people always measure their journeys by successful people or so-called successful people, which is a wrong comparison because they are, as I've said before, they are 0.000%. And then also, you don't know their journey. You don't know what they've had to do or what they've had to sacrifice or how hard they've had to work. Because a lot of successful people were on the verge of giving up. A lot of people that have had that breakthrough have had to sweat for that. Very few people in this industry hit the ground running. Very few. I mean, you can't even count the amount of people that hit the ground running because most people don't. It's a journey. For most actors, 99.9% of actors, it's a journey. They don't just come out of drama school or get discovered on the street or just do one job and then all of a sudden, bang, it goes like that. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. And if it does, it really is what they call the lucky few. The lucky few. And that is luck. That's not about talent or skill or perseverance. That's just luck.
It's both, but luck plays a huge role.
Yeah. But, you know, but for most of us, if you know, speak to anyone from Robert De Niro to, you know, to Sir Ian McKellen, to Idris Elba, whoever, it's graft. Most people think, oh, you know, Idris just grafted for that. Grafted.
It's insane sometimes how people feel like, well, that's like it's a one night success. It's 10 years of hard work, or 20 years, or 40 years, and then suddenly success.
Exactly.
It's not one night event. Yeah.
Morgan Freeman found quote unquote success when he was over 55. He did a film with Christopher Reeve called, I think it was called Street Smart. And he played a pimp in it and he just blew people sideways. This guy's been acting for 30, nearly 40 years before that.
Yeah.
And just as a working actor. People go, oh my God. Oh, so he's been working since he was in his 20s. He's now over 55. And it's now you're discovering him. He weren't discovered. He's always been working. It's just that now he's just coming to the public's imagination because of the high profile of the work he has just done. He's always been there, but now he's in people's imagination because of this job, which has given him a certain level of profile. That's all it is. But he's always been an actor. Samuel L. Jackson, you know, I mean, there's lists of actors we can go on and on and on about, you know, who have been steadily working. I remember it was, I think it was the late 80s or early 90s. I saw a show at the Shaw Theatre in Euston. It was an American company that had come over here called the Negro Ensemble from New York. And they did a play called, it was a three-hander play. 2 women and a guy. They played multiple. It was a brilliant play. Brilliant play. And to see the skill of these actors just morphing from one character to the next, and it was just incredible. After the show, they all came out. We was all chatting with them. There was a piano. Somebody could play the piano. We was all singing, chatting, blah, 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 blah. But the guy in it, we said, that guy's going to be a star. Mm-hmm. He was just incredible. Do you know who that guy was? No. Samuel L. Jackson.
Of course.
Before he blew up.
Yeah. He
was a prolific stage actor.
Yeah.
And we all said, that guy's going to blow up. Mm-hmm. And that was, I think I was about 80, 88, 89 when we said that. Mm-hmm. I was still in my 20s. I was still a youth when I said that. I said, that guy, man, something special about him. Because he was electric on the stage. That was Samuel L. Jackson. I was sitting down singing around the piano with Samuel L. Jackson. Mm. And one of the women was the wife of Joe Morton in one of the Terminator movies. Not the first one, but the second one. Yeah. And the guy who invented the chip.
Yeah.
His wife, she was in the play. Do you know what I'm saying? So again, it's like, people have this, it's like, no, most people start from ground zero and work their way up in this industry. It doesn't, you can't even count the amount of people that have hit the ground running like that. It virtually doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Everyone's got to put the graft, everyone's got to put the work in. Everybody has to put the work in.
You mentioned theater. Your choice of media. Do you like more screen or theater?
I like them both for very different reasons, because they're two different disciplines, but they require the same amount of energy, the same amount of focus, the same amount of discipline, but just executed in different ways. Whereas on screen, it's short bursts, but then you've got to maintain that over a long period of time. Theatre is a shorter burst, but it's just intense. It's one long, intense thing. But they're both, theatre, the skill of theatre is to reinvent it every night. That's hard. That's not easy. To have that drive and have that physical energy every night, giving it 100%, being totally committed 100% is hard. Especially if you're doing a long run of a play, like a good few months, 8 shows a week. I did a play just over 2 years ago at the Old Vic called Jitney, an American play written by August Wilson. And it was probably one of the hardest roles I've ever done, because before the first half, I had to do this. I think it was like a 13-page scene with the actor who played my son. And towards the end of the scene, my character completely breaks down, like emotionally, physically, everything breaks down. But then in the breaking down, still has to carry on with the scene. And I had to find that every night, 8 shows a week for 6 weeks. And then we went on tour. Then I had to find it every night, 8 shows a week on tour. And when we got to the end of the tour, one of the producers said to me, she said, I've seen this play at various stages, from the preview, the opening night, during the run, the end of the run at the Old Vic, and on tour. And I've seen it the last night on tour now. She said, every single time I've seen you do it, you've given 100%.
How do you find?
And she said, how do you find it? I said, you just do. You just have to access that. You just access it. That's the benchmark. You just got to hit it. Otherwise, it's not right. Doesn't matter how you feel. Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is that you hit that note. It's like playing a musical instrument. Either you're going to hit the right note or you're going to hit a bum note. It's exactly the same thing. And obviously your impetus is to hit the right note, not a bum note. So no matter how you feel, you got to get that musical instrument to hit that right note. And it's the same, it's the same kind of principle. You have to just find it. But once it's locked in your body, and you found it, you can access it.
Hmm.
No matter how you feel. You could be thinking about your dinner and you can still access it. Even if you don't feel it 100%, you know the notes you have to play. You know what your body has to do because you've accessed that so many times. So you know what to do. Even if for your own standards, you're going through it by numbers. You're hitting those notes and you're hitting those notes truthfully because you know what that sound is. You know what that feeling is. So you know how to hit those notes every single time. And it's not, it's like you have an argument with your partner, massive argument. Then you both end up exhausted, crying, what have you. Now do that every single night for eight shows a week. Do that. When you broke down, do that 8 times a week.
Do you think doing something like that in theater is easier than if you would have to access the same level of emotions every day on set for like 2 weeks on screen?
I think if we're gonna, I can't think of another word, but I think for now the word easier is the best word. I think it is easier on stage.
Because for me, it feels like you don't start with, this collapse of emotions. You end with it. So like through the performance, you're still kind of going into it. You still kind of develop and you work with your partner. And if it's truthful, you kind of can build on that.
Yeah.
And on set, it can be like, okay, now cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a bit different.
Oh, it's much more challenging to do it on screen. Much more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you see when certain actors have to go into a place and they go into that zone and they're just in that zone and they just stay there. That's the only way that they can access those emotions. They can't be having a joy like, yeah. You can't be doing that on set. It's like when I was doing my last scene in House of the Dragon, I didn't virtually speak to anyone for a week. Right. I was in the zone and I had to stay there from the time I hit that set. In between takes, everybody else is laughing. I would go off and find a quiet corner. Just be in the zone. Okay, well, we're ready for that. And they all knew because and it wasn't me saying, I need. It's like, no, it's like they just saw me just disappear. And then all of a sudden they went, oh, okay. So then everybody then became sensitive. So then if I'm on set now and I'm in the zone and it's getting noisy, the first say, can we have quiet, please? Because he could see if we keep it like that, then it's good. Because we need it to be like this. Not rah! Then all of a sudden I've got to do that. He said, no.
It's incredible. Like it's a level of professionalism, not only from actors and but staff, crew, everyone. Everyone should understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And
it's not something that you have to say.
Yeah.
If you are really in tune with your work and you're in tune with the sensitivity of the scene that you're doing, and they will just pick up on that energy. They will just pick up on it without you having to force or say anything or behave in a certain way, because then that will just disrupt the vibration.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that, because at the end of the day, regardless of how I may think or feel, that's another person's life. I can't be saying, shut your mouth, man, because I'm trying to concentrate.
Yeah.
That's not helpful. That's actually quite selfish. So I mean, maybe the only way that those people can cope in that kind of situation is a little bit of light relief. Maybe that's their coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Maybe your coping mechanism is to go into yourself. That's fine. There's no rules. But there is respect. So just because a person may be loud, or if you feel as though it's disturbing your vibration, there's a way in which you can deal with that. And so sometimes there was times when it was getting a little bit loud on set. So I might go over to the first assistant and say, could you just tell people to just kind of keep it down a bit? That's what you do. It's only for his ears only. I don't need to broadcast that. But I know that if I go through the correct channel, through him, he will then distribute that information respectfully to the rest of the cast. And because he's the first, they will listen to him. But if I throw a tantrum,
doesn't look,
they ain't going to look well for me. And it's going to just sour the atmosphere. But if it comes from him, they know, and he won't just say, everybody be quiet, please, because Will is concentrating. He said, guys, can we just keep it down? It's a very, very sensitive scene. Let's just try and stay in the zone. He do it that way, very diplomatic.
Mm-hmm.
And that way everybody goes, okay, cool. So we can still carry on our conversation, but as opposed to up here, we're down here now.
Yeah.
But we're still having a laugh on our joke, but down here, not up there. And it's just that. Just those kind of, just that etiquette on set that, as an actor, even if you're in your most important scene of your career, still respect the other people have their own lives, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all about you. It's not all about you. But I've worked with actors who do make it all about them. And then when they do throw a wobbly or what have you, or everybody must be quiet because I'm on set. That just sours the atmosphere. And it doesn't make for a good working environment. And at the end of the day, as serious as the work is, I still want to have fun. I still love my work.
Coming back to theater, what is your favorite aspect of theater, and how does it change how does it differ for you from screen?
What I love about theater is the magic of keeping it alive every night.
And how you do it.
The buzz, oh God.
Like with the long run, for example.
With the long run, my methods always change. I find that when I first start, I'm very, very, very serious. Especially like, the first couple of weeks of the run. I'll come in, I'll do my warm-ups, my voice, very solemn, got my headphones on, in the zone, By about week 7 or 8, I'll just rock up and do it. Like literally. It's like, the first couple of weeks, I'm in my costume before the half is called. Towards the end of the run, I get into my costume 5 minutes before I'm going on. Because I'm relaxed, it's in me.
Yeah.
Don't stress it.
Yeah.
And that's when, and when I get to that stage, that's when the magic happens. Because I'm not thinking about anything. I'm getting closer to being in the moment. Moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. Whereas before, I'm working to get to that place. I'm working to get there. And in order for me to get there, I have to be concentrated. I have to be focused. I have to be all those things. But then once I've got to and it's not a fixed point. It's just somewhere along the line, I just tend to just relax. Because I know it. I know the lines. I know the moves. I know the pitch. I know the tone. I know the scenes. I know what's got. So just go out there and just do it. Just don't think about it. Do it. You've got it in it's all in your system already. So therefore, it's like, every time we go to brush our teeth, it's not this big, this whole method. Just brush your teeth and go, innit? You know what I'm saying? It's that.
Yeah, but in this case, it's, if we compare it to brushing our teeth, like when I'm brushing my teeth, I can think about anything. Like on stage, like you don't want it to become just, one same dance, this step, without even thinking. Like you still have to be emotionally involved. So
if you're in the moment, it will never be that.
So how do you concentrate on being in the moment? Like, what is your
listening?
Yeah.
Listening to the other actor. Listening. If you listen to them, it will keep you in the moment. Mm-hmm. The minute you focus on your acting, you're out of the moment.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
How am I going to deliver this line? Mm-hmm. No, how am I going to respond to you? Because you said something that I've got to respond to. Listen to the other actor. If you listen to them, it will keep you in the moment. Keep you in the moment. Keep everything alive. Keep everything fresh. So then your responses is spontaneous. It's spontaneous. And the more once we've done all the groundwork in rehearsals and previews and opening night and all that, and you've had a good few weeks into the run, don't think about it after that.
Yeah.
Don't. You've done all the work. It's like, you know, it's like me painting this wall and I've done it really well. Then I'm going to paint it again and then paint it again and then paint it again. And stop. It's done. Let the work just be. Mm-hmm. Let it just be. Otherwise you're overdoing it. Yeah. Then all of a sudden it's like, that wall looks funny. Why could you done too much with it? You should have left it at one coat. No, you put on 20. Now we can see it looks like, you're doing too much. And that can happen. Sometimes actors can overthink. Mm-hmm. The more they go into the running, the more they start to it's like, Wil, you know, bro, I don't like talking about it, man. Let's just do it.
And am I right to think that what was your most challenging role on stage? Was it Othello? Or?
Othello was one of my most challenging roles. I think Othello was my most challenging vocally because the verbal gymnastics and the range I had to find in that role was really, really challenging, especially being Shakespeare. My most challenging role, I think, was the role in Jitney, which I did a couple of years ago, where I had to break down and find that. But because it's easy to break down. No, it's not easy to break down. It's not easy. That's not the wrong way to put it. Right? You can break down, but you can have actors break down, but with no clarity, with no focus. So all that energy is displayed.
You mean emotional clarity or just technical dictional projection?
Technical, all of that.
Yeah.
Because throughout all of that, feeling these real emotions, which is great, I still have to understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I still have to hear you.
It can be upset.
Exactly. I still got to hear you.
Yeah.
I still have to understand you. And you still have to give me the story.
Yeah.
So the marriage of technical with that emotion is challenging. Because you got to push through how you feel. Because you think about it, when we break down in real life and we've got something to say, we become the most clearest that we can ever be. And we don't even realize it. We become the clearest we've ever been. Why? Because I have something I have to tell you.
Something very important.
Despite the fact that I still have to get through to you. Mm-hmm. Despite all of that, I have to get through. That's why and then the more the emotion takes over and the more I need to push is the harder that's when all of the breakdown happens. The breakdown happens because you're trying to get to there. You're trying to get to that person. You're trying to make your point. But the emotion is stopping you from making your point. And the more it stops you, the more you want to push through it. Mm-hmm. You don't cry for cry's sake. You know what I mean? We don't cry for crying's sake. That's something that we never do. And we all know that in real life. But in acting, we forget. And we go into actor mode. Into going, they must think I'm so wonderful. Look at me. You know what I mean? We go into that mode. Yeah. And any actor that tells me different, it's like, no, you're lying. We all do it because this is the game. And this is real life. And these are the things that we have to fight against.
Do you think actors are narcissists?
For the most part, we are, yeah. We are. And I think it's good to own that. Mm-hmm. I think it's good to own that. There's nothing wrong with it.
Because I never believed when someone says like it's all about the work, it's all about the art, it's not about me. I mean, like it can be about the work, about the art, but you choosing to put yourself in a spotlight in front of all of those people and want them to look at you. There is something in it for sure.
Whether people admit it or not, that's their business. But it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. You know, and I just think own it, but don't abuse it.
Yeah.
Because there's levels and levels. Because you can be a narcissist and no one will ever know you as you're a narcissist, or they may, or your narcissism may, come out on stage or on screen and go, oh my God, that person's so amazing. It could manifest in that way. But there is a certain level of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people can challenge what I'm saying. You can challenge all you like. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion and to your views and to how you think and feel about these things. But it's there. Why we're on display. What are you going to give them? Rubbish? You want to give them your best when you're on display. Otherwise, why are you there? For the art. What, you're going to give them rubbish art? No, you're not. You're going to give them the best art that you can do. That's what you're going to give them.
Yeah.
And so there is, and you know that, you know, whether people admit it or not, and a lot of actors don't want to admit it. Oh, they do that. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you do want that adulation. You do want somebody acknowledging what you're doing, whether it's the critics, your peers, your spouse, your partner, your friend, your director, your mum, your dad, whoever, your granny, your granddad, your children. You want someone to acknowledge what you're doing.
Yeah.
You want it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like if somebody bills you, you know, if you say to somebody, I've got X amount of money, can you build me a house? And they build a house and it's to your specifications and you like it. What's the first thing you're going to go, oh my God, you are so amazing. That's just brilliant. That's really, oh, thank you. I'm going to recommend you to my other friends because they want their houses built. And say, that's the guy. That's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He can build anything. And you're going to go, thank you. But you know I'm the shit.
Yeah.
You know I'm the shit. You know I built that house. Look at that house, man. It's me built that, you know. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. As long as you don't abuse it and you spill it onto other people and take that and abuse people with it. That's when it's stepped into something else. Do you know what I mean? When that you know, entitlement comes in. That's not it. We all want to be recognized for what we do or what we achieve. And so we should. Because you put a lot of hard work, a lot of time, and a lot of effort into something. You know, somebody could have been swatting for that role for over a year, studying that script every day, getting out, running 6 miles a day in the cold, rain, hot, snow, hitting the gym 6 times a week. And then so he comes back, has something to eat. He's on that script, going through them lines, breaking it down, going to rehearsals, and then he wins that award. Of course he's going to, yes, he's putting the work.
Yeah.
He's putting the work. And so, of course, he's going to be proud of himself. You have to be. If you put in the work, then yes, you're going to be proud.
Yeah. People who want to become actors or, you know, aspiring actors, young actors who are just studying, what would you tell them?
Prepare, prepare, prepare. And no matter what happens, keep going. Just keep going. Believe in yourself. Like, really believe in yourself. Because the only person that's going to truly believe in you is you.
How to believe in yourself when you're going through rounds and rounds and rounds of rejection?
Just keep going. That's the only advice I can give. If you quit, then you'll never know. And remember why you're there. You're there because you love acting. And that's the thing that I always try to remember is that I love acting. I love acting. Absolutely love to act. I love the fact that I've stepped up and challenged myself to become a director. And now I'm embracing that. And I love it. It's like yesterday I was involved in selecting actors who we're going to see next week.
Do you think it will be easier or harder for you to be the guy on the other side of the table since you were an actor for so long?
I think it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm enjoying not having that pressure of acting. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to watching actors explore and play and find and discover, and to be in a position where I will help them on that journey. I think I'm going to love being a director.
Yeah.
I'm going to absolutely love it because I love acting. And if I love acting, I'm pretty certain I'm going to love directing as well.
Is there like a bucket list of what you want to do in your career?
Be in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
A franchise. 5 films.
Yeah.
Sort myself out. There you go. There you go.
Nice.
Get that cheddar. Get that money. Yeah. One of them big fat franchises. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Or, failing that, a nice big fat American TV series. 7 to 10 year contract. Each year the money goes up.
What genre?
Crime genre.
Yeah.
Crime. I would love to be in an American crime drama, you know, like Law and Order, or you know, one of those kind of long running shows where you've got a nice steady role as a cop in that, something like that.
Yeah.
8 to 9 months work, you know, in the year. Then you're off for about 4 or 5 months where you're just chilling, and then you go back and make your money. And then before you know it, you're on series 15. That's what I want. Yeah. That for me would be the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Is to get, you know, and I've said it to my wife for years. I said, my ultimate goal in this industry is to get an American TV series, playing a lead in an American TV series.
Well, I really hope that the next time I'll interview you, and I really hope it will be next time. I hope next time I'll come to you to visit you in America and do.
Absolutely. That's what I'm hoping too. Because that for me is my ultimate goal. Yeah. That's what I want.
Before I finish, very quick blitz round.
Yeah.
Quick questions, quick answers. There is no right and wrong, apart from the cases when I say that's wrong. Okay, blitz round. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Your one guilty pleasure?
Smoking.
What makes you laugh?
Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker, man. He's and Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Oh, he's
just legend.
Level. Yes.
Legend.
What makes you angry?
Injustice.
Do you have any nicknames?
Willie J, Willoughby, The Dark Knight. Those 3.
I didn't ask you very quickly, why did you decide to go from Wilbert to Will as your stage name?
Because when I first worked in America, most people couldn't remember my name. I would say, they'd say, what's your name? I'd say Wilbert Johnson. They say, Robert. I say, no, Wilbert. Robert. And no, Wilbert. Robert. I'm like, and then an American director said to me, why don't you shorten your name to Wil Johnson? He said, it just runs as one.
Yeah.
So in 1990, I shortened my name to Wil Johnson.
Yeah. All right. Is there a dish that you cook well?
Stew chicken.
No. I'm fasting. Your favorite character in any fictional story, and I'm pretty sure I know who it is.
The Dark Knight.
Yes, Batman. The Batman.
That's it, mate. That's the geezer. Done.
Star Wars or The Lord of the Rings?
Star Wars.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars or Star Trek? Star Wars.
Alien or Aliens?
Alien or Aliens? Aliens. The sequel. Yeah.
Do you have any unknown, unexpected talents?
No, I mean, apart from my DJing.
How often do you cry?
Not very often. Apart from when I'm on stage, darling.
Yeah, it's different. And finally, how can people reach you if they want to work with you?
They can reach me through my agent. I'm represented by Jonathan Hall, who is a senior partner at IAG.
And finally, I asked you yesterday to prepare one cool thing, something that you really like and you think our viewers or listeners should try to.
The Batman. Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
love that film. The reason why I love that interpretation of Batman is he's the closest we're going to get to real life.
Batman.
That Batman is like, if you just walk through that door, he's right there. That's how close he is. I love the fact that Batman has to walk the streets with 3/4 of his uniform underneath his baggy clothes. So if there's anything happening, he can just get changed like that. Whereas in the DC superhero world, he can just, all of a sudden he's Batman. It's like, no, there's a practicality to being Batman, which Matt Reeves, I believe, encapsulated brilliantly. A practicality. If you really were Batman, how quickly would you get into that bat suit? Realistically,
how quickly would you get in those shoes?
How quickly would you get into those shoes? How quickly would you get on that cowl? How quickly?
What I liked? I think it was the first Batman ever that film that showed the makeup under the mask, because we all only saw black, eyes under the mask, but
Exactly.
we never saw that someone actually just did this.
Exactly. All of those kind of practical things that most people don't really think about. But he went, okay, I want to make this Batman as real as possible.
Yeah.
That is a film that I would encourage people to see, because not only is it a great superhero film and a character that I love, it's also a very good noir thriller.
Yeah.
It's a very good thriller, and a great movie. Good story. I mean, you can watch it again and again and it still holds up. It still stands up as a film. All the performances, they knock them out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Knock them out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
That's
I think the only a little bit less realistic thing, it's still kind of, it's a comic book. It's like a superhero who is not super. But the only moment when I thought he'd be dead there, when he smashed into the bridge after he jumped over from the building and he flew.
Oh! When he did the
when he jumped off from this police building or whatever, and he flew and he just smashed in this.
Yeah, that bit, I mean, you would have broken something at least.
For sure.
Or dislocated something. But to actually hit that bridge with that force, you would have broken something, realistically.
But in general, I think it's one of the kind of down to earth.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that I like the fact when he went to the ice lounge and he just walked to the door, just knocked on the door, just so little practical things.
Yeah,
hits the guy walking through the club.
Yeah.
Batman just walking, just and he doesn't just disappear or just appears. It's no, he has to actually walk across the road.
Yeah,
as a real person. As a normal
and
person.
just stylistically, how incredibly beautiful the film is.
Oh.
The scene, it was underground, and when you just see the muzzle flashes, and then he going through this corridor. Oh my God, it's a really. Actually, I want to watch it now. Well, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
It was brilliant.
Honestly, I really hope that
we spoke for over 3 hours, which is just brilliant.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I love about the podcast, because I have a chance to talk once, twice a week, or once every week or 2 weeks. To sit down with someone who has the same passions that I do, and just to talk about everything. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, comment, tell us what you think about Wil's role in the House of Dragon or some previous projects that you've seen him. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.